Hey there, everyone. Just wanted to jump in here and offer some details and feedback on the design document drafts coming up here. I know Tyler and others had submitted a number of questions and wanted to just give a quick overview. I certainly can't go into the level of detail I think some might want, but know that part of our hope in this course is that you take agency and do some of your own due diligence and offer some of your own creativity, as long as you take into account the expectations that are on the design document description page. I think everyone should be okay. So really use that description page as your framing for each of these sections. But again, you'll certainly need to take some steps online and do some other research to sort of fully build these out. And there's really just no single version of any design document that is going to be what we're after. It's going to be unique to your project and your specific topic. So real quick, again, won't be able to get into all the details. If folks have questions, definitely reach out directly. As far as the summary of analysis goes, that is exactly as it sounds. It is just a quick summary of what your analysis process looked like. The learner persona was part of that, and that should get pulled as an appendix to the back of the document. So again, if folks aren't familiar with using appendix within a sort of broader document like this, just do a quick search. How do appendix sort of work within a professional document? But basically, it'll just fall. You can reference it within the summary of analysis, but the persona itself will fall to the bottom of the document as an appendix. So you can have any number of appendix. It might be other graphics. It might be other, other sort of less prominent material that you just want to make reference to, but don't want to clutter the document up front. So that's the summary of analysis. Just give a summary of sort of what the analysis process looked like. As far as the instructional design model, again, this is just a sort of description of how you utilize one or more of those models, and then just sort of how it was or was not sort of effective in the way you thought about your solution. So this is all sort of culminating, bringing all these pieces together into a single cohesive document that then can be presented. We say client, but that might not quite work. For some, it's an organization. For others, it might be a school, or again, so there's just not a single answer for this stuff. But the proposed learning solution, this is going to also vary depending on your group. But it is bringing together some elements from projects that have already sort of come to be. Certainly some of that came out recently in the journey maps and through some of your objective work. There should be a gap that's a part of this, right? You're providing the solution to address a specific gap. Those gaps often come in the form of motivation, habits, skills, knowledge. And then again, this is sort of summarizing and giving a good, concise taste of what that solution is going to be in written form. So let's see, instructional objectives. Yes, Bloom's is sort of this taxonomy that's useful and is familiar with a lot of this sort of design work, but it's not the only one. Again, if you'd like to do sort of further work and dig into other taxonomies like Bloom's and how those sort of verbs work and how there's these levels of depth of knowledge you can sort of gain from learners by digging into varying levels of verb usage, feel free. But otherwise, the objectives there really are just, and Susanna's provided some really good feedback on where those objectives are at and whether or not they might need some work. So this is your chance to incorporate some of that feedback into your final list of 3 to 5 objectives. The storyboard, you should storyboard for only 30 minutes of your proposed solution. So some of these solutions hypothetically might run over the course of an entire week or a month or a year. Learners might be more or less engaged in this experience, and so the thought here is really just give us a sense that you can really think in detail about what specific steps learners will go through, but know that you sort of only need to think about it in about a 20 to 30 minute sort of time frame. That may involve learners logging into an online tutorial, doing some work there. They may then, that might take 5 or 10 minutes. They might have a quiz, that might be another 5 minutes. They may then go and take part in some, physical sort of practical application of some sort, and that might be another 10 or 15. That might be, 10 to 12 individual sort of boards of your story, and that would make up the full 30 minutes. So hopefully that helps. Again, just do a quick search on storyboards, and you'll have a bunch of resources to get a better sense for what those look like. There's no single resource we're necessarily going to point anyone to, though we do have there are some resources in the course for storyboard templates, but you can take that in any direction you want, as far as the sort of format and template you might use. Assumptions, not going to go into a whole lot of detail there. Take a peek at the project description. I think that outlines those pretty clearly. A schedule. So yeah, just this is very simple. What would it look like to really schedule this planning out, and then designing and developing and ultimately carrying out the solution. Again, we're not building these solutions out. We're really just working through the planning phase. But if you were to sort of put yourself in the shoes of a designer that was ultimately going to take this work all the way through to the end, what would a realistic schedule look like? And within that schedule, moving to communication plan, what would your strategy be for staying connected with those involved? We've used the term stakeholders. Again, this could be, in one case, it may be teachers and administrators within a school. In other cases, it might be organizational leaders that are sort of working in tandem at a nonprofit. Could come in a bunch of different varieties here, but the thought there is, what is your plan for effectively communicating how you as a designer are progressing? Is there a automated sort of newsletter that they get in some fashion that keeps folks up to date? Is it just a email cadence? Is there an actual chat client of sorts that you're going to make use of to stay in contact? Just outlining what that communication will look like, and then a summary, and nothing to go into here. This is a summary of your document. Bring everything together. Often this ends with some sort of really strong sentence or two that is motivational in some way, and once folks read through this whole solution design plan, they get to a final point and feel really good about what you're providing and what you're offering. So just a paragraph summary is all we're looking for there, and then whatever references you may use. And again, not going to go into detail there. References can come from within the course material, potentially from other sources outside that you may have referenced, and there's the expectations on the references are in that description page as well. So hopefully that's helpful. Quick overview. Just take a peek at the solution design description page. Really outlines the thinking behind each of the components. Many of these things we've already sort of worked through in some fashion. So certainly just take our feedback and your peers' feedback and port it into a single draft design document. We understand that this is not fully polished at this point. It's meant to be a draft, and getting it out into the world and letting other folks kind of dig into it is going to be useful. And then ultimately working towards a submission. Now we'll add some other pieces. In fact, the storyboard, the evaluation just have some placeholders, and we'll incorporate those in the next few weeks, and then working towards, we'll sort of just keep polishing this document as we move towards the end. So that's about it, I think. Hopefully that's helpful. Again, take ownership over these. As long as you stay true to the expectations we're looking for, and are working through all the material, then should be okay. We don't want to put a whole lot of prescriptive boundaries around things, because each of you are just tackling different problems and coming at this with different approaches, and that's exactly how it should be. So I think that's it. Again, reach out as needed. Suzanne and I are both again moving around, but available, and we'll try to be as responsive as possible and get back within a day or two on any questions. So thanks, everybody. Hope that's helpful. We'll talk to you online.